Alright, man, listen up, because I'm about to keep it a buck like a goddamn dollar store. I'm gonna keep it as straight up as a stop sign. The majority of people out there are not meant to break out of the matrix. Let me say that again. The majority of people out there are not meant to break out of the matrix. And you might be wondering, what are you talking about when you're referring to the matrix? Are you talking about some Andrew Tate shit? Oh man, like people are ruling the world, this and that. The economy, jobs, 9 to 5s, this and that. No, those are all pieces to the entire system of the real matrix, the real Maya, and the real illusion. So without further ado, let's break this bitch down real quick like a brick for y'all. Maya, or the illusion, or quote unquote the matrix, is something that goes on up in here. This is the real maze that you need to figure out. This is the real matrix you need to figure out. This is the real Maya or illusion that you need to figure out how to walk in, how to actually interact with, how to actually be able to figure out. Because if you don't figure out this, everything else is going to be confusing to you. Everything else will feel like a trap to you. Everything else sounds, feels, and overall embodies the concept of the matrix, a maze, the Maya, the illusion. So that's first up. Everything starts up here first, in the mind, in the psyche. And overall, it starts off even higher planes than that, which is the spiritual world. So the spiritual world will act upon the mind will act upon the body. Everything is a reflection of the internal world. The external world is merely just a mirror of that. So get that in your head first. So why the majority of people will always be stuck within this matrix, the internal matrix, is because society, the programming, everything around you is built to help that overall system run by cutting off your connection to the spiritual world, to the start of everything, to the higher realms of reality. And the reason it does that is because your higher self is connected to the higher realms, the higher spheres, the higher planes of consciousness. So when you cut off the cord and connection to that, guess what? You're going to be searching for something else. You're going to be searching for something to give you the guidance, to give you the wisdom, to give you the overall pathway to succeed in life. And guess what? Who does that? Society and the overall systems that you see being put in place today. Yet most people fall into that because they don't understand these concepts, and most importantly, they don't ever train the mind or actually decompartmentalize the mind to the point where they know how it works properly. They know what triggers them. They know the impulses, the reactions of how the mind actually runs, of how the mind actually affects the body, of how the mind actually affects their entire life. They don't ever do any self-inquiry. They don't ever question things. They don't ever try looking beyond what has been shown to them. They don't ever ask deeper questions. They're on autopilot mode. And they've been bred to do that from birth. We've all been there. I don't care if you think that you're enlightened, you're awakened, you're this and that. You've been there before. You might have dug yourself up out of that hole, but you might have also put yourself into another hole. Yet, in reality, everyone is living in their own matrix. And the overall matrix, the overall mind, the overall illusion is perpetuating that, is actually forcing that, is actually pushing that more and more and more. So you create the own box you live in. It isn't somebody else doing it. They're giving you all the information and you building that jail and that box for yourself. Because not only do they cut off the connection to the spiritual realms, but you don't ever seek how to actually reintegrate that back into your life. This is why in the westernized world and the modern world we live in today, spiritual knowledge is so like rare. It's so like it's not a hot commodity. Yes, there's like the new age spirituality bullshit that, you know, if you've been tapped into this channel, my main channel, that I do not think is the right path for most people, that I think can delude what real spirituality is about. But the real ancient wisdom that has been helping civilizations grow and grow and grow and grow over time has been made obsolete. Where do you see it in the world today? You don't see it much. You don't see it on social media. You don't see it in your day-to-day life unless you're actually seeking for it. And the majority of people out there who aren't seeking for it, guess what? They're not meant to break out of this matrix. They're okay with being in an ignorance is bliss state of mind. They don't want that knowledge which will turn into power, which power will turn into freedom of the mind, body, and soul. They don't care for that. They don't actually search for that because they don't question anything. They don't question, hey man, why am I going to school? Hey man, why do I want to get married? Hey man, why am I out in the nightclubs every night? Hey man, why do I want this car? Hey man, why do I want this clothes? Hey man, why am I doing anything that I'm actually doing? And I'm not saying any of those things are actually quote unquote bad or evil. Don't get it twisted. Don't get it fucked up. I'm not saying any of that. I'm saying what's quote unquote bad or evil is, it's not even bad or evil. It's just ignorant and it's foolish. You don't actually question why. You don't actually wonder why. You're letting your dog come into the video. You're letting your mind and your that autopilot programming just dictate your life for you. You don't ever say, let me pause real quick. Let me hit the pause button. Why am I doing this? Why am I doing that? That's why things like meditation is so important. That's why things like just being able to detach from the mind and body is so important, and really tap back into the eternal source, the higher self, the inner guru, the inner guide, whatever you want to call it. Because that side of you, that part of you has all the answers. It knows what you need to do. It can guide you to victory if you are able to listen to it. But once you cut off that cord, the volume connection to that source is no longer there. When you do these practices like meditation, breath work, semen retention, all that good stuff, you regenerate that ability to listen back to your own spiritual guide, your own spiritual source, your own spiritual wisdom that comes from within, aka Gnosis. Shout out to the School of Gnosis tier membership on the Patreon. If you haven't joined up on the Patreon yet and want to get access to exclusive videos, full guides, in-depth occult lectures, monthly masterminds where we hop onto live calls, chop things up, man. The link is going to be posted in the pinned comment of this video. Yet, that inner gnosis, what I'm talking about, that reference to the Patreon team membership, means inner wisdom, means divine wisdom that only can come from within. People don't actually seek within. They seek for the external world for answers. They seek for videos like this. They seek for books, for guidance, this and that. And those are all good pieces of wisdom to help formulate your own system, formulate your own philosophy, formulate your own philosophy. Come on now. And that can help, but in reality, you got to tap back in with the source. You got to tap back in with yourself, the true self, the higher self, to piece it all up together. Anything I am trying to bring about through this brand, through the messaging of what I promote, through my products, services, content, whatever it is to give y'all the tools to go uncover that inner wisdom, that inner answer yourself. I can't tell you how to live your life. I can tell you the tools to get to a better point of life, to live out your highest life, to live out your best life. But at the end of the day, it's going to be different for each and every single person. We all got different paths. We got all got different purposes. We all got different environments, circumstances, and all that good stuff that shapes up our own individualized, unique journey on this plane of existence. Yes, I can give you the tools to get to that point where you find it out for yourself, but at the end of the day, you got to put in the work in. And this is why the majority of people will never break out of the matrix. They don't care. They don't actually seek out this information. And yes, it's not prevalent and prominent, like I said, mentioned before. Everything you see on social media is more about entertainment. It's more about sex. It's more about status. It's more about just all these lower end desires that people get trapped in and get stuck in. They get stuck in that point where all they think about is survival, sex, status. Survival, sex, status. The lower three worlds, the lower three chakras, the lower three planes of consciousness. And this is what the Matrix, the Maya, runs off of. It needs people to do that. If people elevate it out of that, guess what? The Maya, the Matrix, and stuff like that crumbles. You guys And our everybody's consciousness is the foundation of it, is the foundation of the illusion, which is so funny because your consciousness is what can either lead you out of it, or it is what the thing that will actually hold it up, make it stronger, make it even more powerful. It's either or. And you got to consciously choose what it is going to be for you. Maybe it's not going to be that for you on this timeline. Maybe it's not going to be for you on this incarnation or this experience of the human realm. It might not be. But if you're actively pursuing it, if you're actually seeking this type of knowledge, seeking freedom of the mind, body, and soul, which only comes from power. Power eventually results into freedom. Because once you got the power, you got the wisdom, you got the knowledge, you got the control back on your side. The universe is working with you. You're working with the universe. You're using it as a guide. You're using it as a source. You're becoming a divine vessel for God that I mentioned on the private Patreon community. All that stuff comes together to the point where you see past the illusion. You see past all the tricks. You see past all the traps that want to keep you in your lowest nature. Keep you away from awakening to your true purpose on life. I'm not trying to make it seem like, oh man, you're here to start up a new religion, or you're here to make the greatest new invention. Maybe you are, but your purpose could be just becoming the best father, becoming the best doctor, becoming the best at your career path, making the best holistic health business, or whatever it is, man. You already know that purpose. You've known it throughout childhood, those intricate, innate desires you've had, and innate internal gifts that you were already possessing when you came onto this plane of existence. You got to awaken that, and you got to put it together. You got to piece these things together if you really want to break out of the matrix. It's not just about, okay, I got enough money now I'm out of the matrix. Oh, because I'm in Andrew Tate's Discord chat, I'm out of the matrix. Oh, because I'm in this person's thing, I'm out of the matrix. No, bro. You can flip the matrix into your own matrix without you even knowing it. You can make breaking out of the matrix the new matrix for you, where everything revolves around, I gotta break out of the matrix, I gotta break out of the matrix, I gotta break out of the matrix. But the only thing that can slice and pierce through it all and get you right to the truth and get you right to the source is through spiritual knowledge and self-realization, which only comes through self-mastery, mastering the mind, body, and soul. That's the only way you can get to that point. And each person is going to have their own version of mastering the mind, body, and soul, but there's principal tenets that come with it. When you start mastering the mind, body, and soul, you start elevating beyond those lower 3 levels or lower 3 worlds or lower states of consciousness. And once you start doing that, you awaken to the higher states of consciousness, and guess what? Guess who gets calling on the phone? The universe, God, the higher self. Now you can hear that motherfucker, bro. Now you can hear it loud and clear. And he's gonna but guide you to the real purpose why you were here. I don't know. I don't know, barely even know mine. I'm just trying to get to that journey myself. I'm just documenting and helping you guys out along the way. I don't know what it is for you if I barely know what it is for me. Don't make it seem like everybody's got to figure it out, man. No, they do not. This is an ongoing journey. This is why this is the ultimate path, the ultimate journey in life. Mastering the mind, body, and soul. This is what it really means to escape the matrix, escape the limitations of the mind, escape the limitations of the body, and actually step into and tap into the unlimited, infinite capabilities of your soul, of what really runs this whole thing around. If your soul is able to, quote unquote, transcend out of the lower planes of existence, guess what? You've broken out of the matrix. Even if you're, quote unquote, poor, even if you're, quote unquote, not in Andrew Tate's fucking group chat or whatever the fuck, even if you're not in a point in life where you can just go travel wherever you want, whenever you want, however you want. Yes, if that's part of your desires, you want to get to that point and be financially free, that's great, that's beautiful. Because money on a very spiritual level unlocks new gates and unlocks new doors of experiences, unlocks new doors of consciousness. Don't make it seem like money is not part of this path. Don't make it seem like the materialistic part is not an actual element of this path. Everything is. Mastering it all. But if you master your mind, body, and soul, guess what? You start mastering your finances. Guess what? You start mastering your social skills. Guess what? You start mastering your relationships. If you master the self, everything else gets put into line. And most people who are stuck in the matrix, who aren't meant to break out of the matrix, don't realize this, don't actually question things, don't actually see things for what they are. They got blindfolds on, they're on autopilot mode, and guess what? That keeps them in the cycle, keeps them spinning around, keeps them deluded, confused, and overall within this illusion of the Maya, of the matrix, of whatever you want to call it. That's what it really is perpetuating. This is what it's really pushing. Your own pleasures being the source of your own illusion, being the source of your own matrix, being the source of your own downfall. The things that you hold so dearly and tightly to you, your attachment to this world, the things that you think are quote unquote making you happy, quote unquote making you free, quote unquote giving you power, are the same things that could be boxing you in further, and further. Attachment to anything gets you to that point. Attachment to your identity, attachment to your career, attachment to your status, all that stuff, man. It's not something you want to throw away. I'm not telling you to just throw it away. That's not what the law of detachment is about. I broke it down more in depth and in detail on the private Patreon community, but that the law of detachment is about not being so attached to things in life, but being more involved with it. Experiencing life for what it truly is, so you can see past the veil, you can see past the illusion. The attachment clouds it, the ego clouds it. You can't see past the fog, you can't see past the mist, you can't see past the nonsense that's keeping you stuck in your own internal matrix. So what does it really take for someone to break out of the matrix? Like I just mentioned, mastering the mind, body, and soul, but on a very practical level that you can add to your routine, add to your life today, right now, is start questioning. Start questioning. Don't be a conspiracy theorist, like questioning every fucking thing. Oh wait, what is this? Like, don't make yourself go crazy, psychotic, and schizo, but start questioning yourself mainly. Question your behaviors. Question your actions. Question your decisions. Question it. And really break it down. Why am I doing this? And when you really break it down, it's usually going to come back to one of those three desires: sex, status, or survival. Why am I doing this job? Okay, I want to survive. Okay, that's good. I'm not telling you to quit your job because you want to survive, but this deeper layer. Okay, you're surviving well. Why do you want to get this car? Why do you want to get this clothes? Oh, because I want to have sex with a lot of these girls. Okay, what is that going to get you? Oh, I'm getting a status. Everybody thinks I'm cool. Everyone's going to think I'm an alpha. I'm top G. Okay, what does that get you? Oh, it helps me survive better. Okay, what does that get you? Gives me more sex. Okay, what does that get you? More status. This is a cycle, bro. It's a cycle. That keeps on spinning, man. But if you are able to pinpoint it and actually realize this, you can be like, okay, man, I get what he's talking about. I'm just spinning my fucking consciousness round and round on this fucking hamster wheel, and it's getting me nowhere. It's getting me my base level needs, my animalistic needs, but I don't feel fulfilled in life. I don't feel like I have a real, genuine purpose in life. I don't feel like my soul is connected to me. I don't feel any of that shit. And that's what's the next step that you need to take. It's first by being aware, being conscious, being deliberate with your actions. And guess what? Once you're more deliberate with your actions, you're going to put yourself in better positions to where you can actually hear that voice, hear that motherfucker call up the phone, pick up the phone. You can hear him, and that higher self will guide you to the next step, to the next step, to the next step. And this all is it's not like, okay, it's very linear. Things just flow together when you're in this path, when you're on this journey. So don't think, okay, I got to do this first, do that first. Don't make it so analytical. Don't make it so masculine. Use that feminine principle inside to your mind, because we as men are already too masculine. And the westernized world, everything else is too masculine to the point where we forget that feminine side of that intuition, that flow, and that overall spiritual power and spiritual instinct to us. We're trying to balance the yin and yang. You dig what I'm saying? So when you do all that stuff, things are going to become more clear to you. Things are going to be more focused and intentful when it comes to your decisions in life. And you're going to notice other people are just in that cloud, drowning in that sea of illusion, sea of confusion that you were just in. You were just an NPC. We're all NPCs on certain levels. But once you start chipping away, breaking away, you're quote unquote less of an NPC, less on autopilot mode, less in the matrix, because you're consciously getting yourself out of it. You're not just feeding more and more into it due to your own ignorance, due to your own foolishness. When you start to do these things through meditation, through self-inquiry, through getting spiritual knowledge, through improving your mind, body, and soul, guess what? All that stuff adds up to the point where you kind of are building out your own pathway, paving out your own pathway to your own idea of paradise. Everyone's idea of paradise out of the matrix is different. One person could be having a bunch of money, having a bunch of cars, having a bunch of clothes, yet they're unattached to it. And that's breaking out of the matrix for them. Some other people might be just go live a very simple, minimalistic lifestyle. Some people might be completely to the point where they just don't want any attachments to this world. Go meditate up in the fucking cave all day. It doesn't, there's no one way to get out of the matrix. There's no one pathway you have to get to get out of the matrix. It's going to be different for each and every person, but you got to be consciously deliberate with how you approach this journey, because everybody else around you is unaware of it, to the point where if you get trapped up in that environment, in that consciousness, in that state of just overall illusion, it's going to drag you back down. It's going to drag you back down to the point you were just trying to get out of. Social media, society, this and that. The more because I'm not telling you to detach from society, detach from your friends and all that stuff, but the more you are susceptible to the point where you start re-questioning yourself. So you're questioning yourself, and now you're re-questioning yourself to the point where you're like, okay, am I going crazy because I was questioning myself? Everybody else is doing this thing, and now I'm questioning it and I'm going against it because it doesn't make sense to me. But now when I'm around them, I feel like I'm the crazy one. So should I go back to my old ways? Should I go back to what I was doing before? Everybody else is doing it. See, the more susceptible you are, the more those psychological attacks can essentially influence you. The matrix doesn't just work on the material and physical. It works on the mental and spiritual. Those psychological attacks, those negative thought forms, those negative doubts are not yours. You're just around an environment that has a frequency and vibration that essentially pulls that into everyone's psyche. Because the mind is just a magnet, man. If you tune it up to the point where you were thinking high thoughts, higher vibrations, guess what? It's gonna bounce back to you like a goddamn boomerang. But if you don't, guess what? Everybody else in that environment, in that situation, that societal programming is gonna be what enters into your mind, and eventually what acts upon the body, and eventually what creates your life. You got to be aware of that. The only way you can become aware of that is by detaching through spiritual practices, through self-inquiry, through just being more aware in life. Like, practice it like a goddamn muscle, practice it like a goddamn jump shot, practice it like a goddamn bench press. You got to practice that shit, man. The more and more you do it, the more and more that muscle develops. The more and more that muscle develops, the more it becomes second nature, to the point where you're finally out of the matrix, to the point where you're finally dictating your own decisions in life, to the point where you're not reactive and impulsive to your bodily cravings or your mental impulses, to the point where you're the captain now. Shout out to fucking Captain Phillips. Look at me, I'm the captain now. That's what you're telling to the ego. That's what you're telling to your eternal self. I'm the fucking captain now. Not what the matrix tells me, not what the Maya tells me, not what the illusion tells me, what the higher self is guiding me towards, what God wants me to do, what the universe wants me to do. He's the quote unquote captain, but he's using the higher self, using the higher consciousness to express itself into my own individualized form. That is my connection to him. That's the messenger to him. That is the middleman. Once the middleman's in play, guess what? You're out of the matrix. You're out there in the field, in the flesh, dropping you out that game so you guys can make these gains. And I'm out here. Peace.